Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To everybody, like you said, my name is Marcus. I'm born and raised here in Charlotte, and a little bit about my story and my journey to Islam. I grew up a Catholic on my father's side of the family. It's actually people who grew up here in Charlotte probably familiar with the church. It's on Statesville Avenue. It's called Our Lady of Consolation Catholic Church. Um, they've been around since my dad went to the school there. He went to elementary and middle school there, if I'm not mistaken.
Because I know most of the I don't mean to interrupt you, but most of the African American or black people are Southern
exactly.
Baptist.
No, I get that reaction a lot. I mean, that's a lot of people are surprised by that. But it's a predominantly African American church.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I grew up Catholic all the way up until I was about 15, young teenage years, maybe a little earlier. I kind of just started to question certain things about the religion, just out of curiosity, why I was doing certain things when it came to the rituals and acts of worship and how Catholics practice. So, like I said, I just kind of started to question those things and really could never get a answer that made logical sense to me as to why I was doing these things. So I kind of stepped away from religion at that point. So that was early to mid teenage years. So from that point, I kind of started going to more of what they call non-denominational church. Christian. It was my aunt's church on my mother's side of the family. So I tried that out for a little while, and still could never understand the concept of the Trinity. I had that problem with Catholicism. And so that same issue kind of carried over even into the non-denominational.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, just kind of having trouble understanding the Trinity. So that was something that was, always just confusing to me as far as to understand the concept behind it. It didn't never really click to me. So from that point, I left religion altogether and kind of, that was so early to mid-teens, left Catholicism. So went to non-denominational. So now we're talking probably like early to mid 20s, probably early 20s. I kind of just walked away from religion completely, and kind of what people would call, what they would say, maybe like a free spirit. I believed in God. I knew there was a God. I just didn't ascribe myself to any organized religion.
Did you ever say
they call that Gnosticism, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't even know. Honestly, at that time, I didn't even know it was a term for it. But I just was like, had the idea that religion was created to keep your mind closed in, and all these different, so all these different thoughts. So because of my experience with Catholicism and the non-denominational Christianity, so
did you say you were, what is it, spiritual but not religious?
Yeah, okay. Free spirited kind of type, I guess. It's just one of those things to where you don't really have you don't claim anything, but you believe in God. But so I was on that journey for a while, and still just even throughout going through these phases, I was never, it was something missing, like a void that was there. Still searching for the truth, still knowing that something's missing that I haven't found yet. So from that point, I even dabbed in learning about Rastafarianism and things like that. Kind of like Bob Marley phase. I had long dreadlocks and everything. So I stayed on that journey for maybe a couple of years. So this is coming closer. The Rastafarianism was coming closer to me coming in contact with Islam. So even with the Rastafarianism, same thing, reading into and researching and learning about their religion and their faith, still there's a void here. I'm missing something. I'm not being fulfilled. So from that point, I just always continue to ask God to, show me the truth. Can you fill this void? Still not finding peace that I want in my life, and kind of reconnected with a Quran that was given to me about 12 years ago that I would open and read from time to time. I always knew about Muslims and respected Muslims, but just never knew anything about the religion. So the more I kind of started opening up and reading the Quran more frequently, I started to become more and more interested in it. So, long story short, from that point, I learned how to do the wudu and learned how to do the prayers. And this is before, I took my shahada. So I kind of started doing the prayer, wudu and the prayers maybe close to a month before I actually took my shahada. So what I found out was the more I did those things, it became more and more, I guess for lack of a better term, like heavy on my shoulders. Like, I feel something that I never felt before.
Who gave you the Quran?
It was a friend of the family, an uncle. Well, a friend of my uncle's who actually gave me a Quran. It was the Abdul Yusuf Ali translation, and I still have that one to this day. Like I said, I got it, and I kind of would flip through it and just read a little bit, and then I may put it down. I may not pick it up for another month or so. A couple months. I would kind of always just go back to it. But actually, in 2011, me and my father had a surgery. And this is before, this is kind of when I knew about Islam and I would read the Quran, but I just still never knew really much about the religion. So me and my father had a surgery in June 2nd, 2011. I donated a kidney to him. And so for some reason, by the will of Allah, something told me that, as I was preparing for the surgery, I took that Quran with me. I was not Muslim. Still didn't know, this is like 2011, still really didn't know anything about Islam. But for whatever reason, by Allah's will, something told me to bring that Quran with me, and I kept it with me the whole time. And so fast forward back to, me doing the wudu and the prayers, maybe about a month before I took my shahada. It just got more and more heavy. Just starting to get the feeling that, I'm feeling something I never felt before. And it just led me to finding the closest mosque I could find, and accepting Islam as my religion. So
SubhanAllah. Mm-hmm. And that was a year ago.
Yep.
A year later, everything is different now.
Oh yeah, very different.
So how was it last week? I know it was more of like a personal experience, but at the same time, whatever you can tell us, how did it feel when your wife accepted Islam? Was it more like even more happiness than when you accepted Islam?
Yes and no. It was more, honestly, it was actually very surprising and shocking. I knew she was, she had been doing the studies ever since I was interested in, studying and became Muslim. She was studying and reading. But she was doing it on her own time. Okay. And, I had faith that she would eventually, accept Islam at some point. But honestly, I didn't think it would be at that time. Okay. She really surprised me when she told me that she was ready to take her shahada. I really wasn't expecting it. So, I was happy. I mean, I went to work that morning. She actually told me after Fajr prayer that morning. And so I was at work, I just couldn't even concentrate at work. Just sitting here thinking like, wow, I made all these du'as for her, and that's just a testimony to show that, when you're consistent in making du'as, Allah will accept and answer your du'a. So yeah, there's an uncle, a friend of the family, a friend of my uncle's who was actually Muslim, and he had been kind of putting, little dropping seeds here and there over the years and things like that. So it's like I said, I have come into contact with Muslims here and there, and always had respect for the religion. So,
but this was like the real deep dive.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. It was. It was on a Monday, like August 1st of last year, and I was bringing my mom back from the doctor, and I said, "Mom, I got to make a stop. I'm gonna stop at a mosque and accept Islam as my faith." So
and it just it happened to be this one.
Yeah,
and it was good, alhamdulillah, and I'm glad I got to be part of that.